This is where it all began. In many ways, Joe's mom was his first you. Hey guys, it's Kristen, and today we're gonna dive a bit deeper into the very last few moments of You Season 2 to investigate who is Joe's neighbor. One of the things that I really enjoy about You is that there are so many little hints and Easter eggs that we get throughout the seasons that tease what's to come. One of my favorites, for instance, was realizing that we got to learn the name of Beck's book at the end of season 1 called The Dark Face of Love, and it turns out that that title literally foreshadows the entirety of season 2. I'm still shook over that. So that just made me think, what other secrets or clues are in this season that kind of hint at who Joe's new neighbor, his new obsession is? Consider subscribing if you like my videos and drop down in the comments to let me know your thoughts on who Joe's new neighbor is. And if you're interested, I actually have another video here where I explain all the twists and turns of season 2, so you should check that out as well. So let's set the scene. Joe is now in his new suburban backyard, his backyard prison if you will, reading Crime and Punishment when he hears a giggle over the fence. He walks over to see who's there, and there's a woman in a sun hat and a yellow dress sitting in a chair by the pool. She writes in a notebook and she has several books around her. Here she is, Joe's new neighbor, his new potential you. Taking a closer look, we can see that she has a ring on her finger, so this could definitely be an engagement or a wedding ring. And while her hat covers her hair and face, we do see some wisps of darker hair. She's also a big reader and has books around her that could give us some clues and insight into the next season, including Brave New World, A Guide to Jane Austen, and Kafka's Selected Stories. I think that it would be remiss of us to not dive a little bit deeper into these books. I mean, as we saw, the title of Beck's book itself was a really big hint in this season. So I wonder if these books might give us a little bit of an insight into maybe this new character that we are going to be introduced to. Starting off with Brave New World, one of the big themes of that book is the incompatibility of happiness and truth. I think this could be relevant because, as we saw throughout the season, truth is a really big deal for love. She's all about honesty, and it makes me think that maybe this is hinting at love and Joe's relationship, as Joe seems to be having trouble finding his happiness with love now that he's learned the truth about her. This could also maybe tease that Joe is just gonna give up his attempt on accepting love's truth and instead give into the temptation of a new happiness, which is his new neighbor. As I was doing research, I also found this quote from Brave New World that I thought could have some relevancy in regards to Joe's story. The quote is, "Mother monogamy romance, high spurts the fountain, fierce and foamy the wild jet. The urge has but a single outlet, my love, my baby. No wonder those poor pre-moderns were mad and wicked and miserable. Their world didn't allow them to take things easily, didn't allow them to be sane, virtuous, happy." So this is a quote by Mustafa Mond in the book Brave New World, who explains that life before the world state was full of things that distracted people from being happy, like love and family. These things were considered foreign and dangerous ideas, and when the world state took over, they encouraged more of a superficial type of happiness because they thought that that brought about a stability and a peacefulness to humanity. This idea sort of reflected what I think Joe is feeling right now about love, which is that love, the person, and her willingness to do anything to protect this family is dangerous. Now he's trapped in this superficial happiness that he doesn't really want with love, but he does want to be there for his daughter. The mother monogamy romance line really kind of piqued my interest when it comes to Joe, because I do feel like those are topics that are very important to him. Obviously this season his mother was a big focus in his relationship with her. The idea of monogamy and romance, you know, he is definitely like a one-woman kind of guy. Maybe this is foreshadowing him cheating on love and being with this new neighbor. The character John in Brave New World believes it's not worth it to get rid of all these worthwhile things in life like love and family for stability and peace. This could kind of tease maybe two different things. My first thought is maybe this is hinting that maybe it's worth it to make it work with love in this family even though it's gonna be chaotic. Or on the total opposite end of that, maybe this is hinting that Joe doesn't want to give up his life to be with love and will continue to seek out his own version of happiness no matter what it costs. Maybe his new neighbor is the first step in that, in sort of being a solution to give him hope in order to make it through this superficial suburban prison that he's now found himself in. When it comes to A Guide to Jane Austen, I think a lot of Jane Austen's books have this theme about a woman who's dependent on marriage in order to have a good social standing or good financial security. Maybe this could hint at the type of character that this new neighbor is. Maybe this is someone whose marriage is solely based around this security, but they can easily be seduced by Joe. And with Kafka's selected stories, a lot of his work features an isolated protagonist that deals with like very strange, bizarre predicaments, and he usually explores themes of alienation, existential anxiety, and guilt, which honestly seems like a lot of what Joe was dealing with in this season, and maybe that kind of teases that we're gonna dive more into that in the next season. So now that we have this insight and we've really analyzed this last scene and kind of investigated everything, let's talk about our theories of who is Joe's neighbor. The first theory that I've been seeing everywhere is that Joe's neighbor is his mom. We do get a lot of flashbacks this season to Joe's childhood and his relationship with his mother and how he grew up, and I think that could definitely be setting us up to go in this new direction in season 3 where we are focused more on his mom. His father was very abusive, and in a heated moment, a 9-year-old Joe shoots and kills his father to defend his mother. This is where it all began. In many ways, Joe's mom was his first you. The way he saves her is the very beginning of this warped rationale that he has of trying to protect someone from people who he doesn't think are good for them, or from people who are trying to get in between their relationship. When his mom realizes what he's done, she's the one who apologizes, saying that it's sort of her fault that this all had to happen, and she calls him a good boy before sending him off to this group home. Throughout the season, we see him wanting to be a good guy for love, but is he also holding on to that memory and maybe rationalizing that everything he's doing is to be a good boy for his mother as well? After Joe is taken away, we don't really know what happened to his mother. Love does ask him if she's still alive, and he doesn't give an answer. It's very clear though, especially after Joe's conversation with the real Will, that there is definitely a connection between his relationship with his mother and the issues that he has in relationships with other women. It makes you think, is this show really about Joe's romantic obsessions, or maybe is it about his obsession with trying to recreate his relationship with his mother and make it perfect so that she doesn't leave him again? If so, this would be a really great opportunity to introduce us to a modern day version of Joe's mom as his new neighbor. This could also play into the hints that we got in this last scene with Brave New World, maybe that idea of mothers and family and love, and the Jane Austen book in terms of Joe's mom always being someone who relied on other men for security and stability and to take care of her. Maybe she disappeared, went off with a new guy, and started a new family. I will say that there are a few red flags that make me think, okay, actually maybe this is not Joe's mom. The first is that this character does look like she may have darker hair, although, you know, people dye their hair, so that could mean nothing. The second reason though is that this person is clearly a big reader. There's a scene in one of the flashbacks where Joe's mom is like, okay, pack up all your things, we're gonna leave, don't pack any books, and then when she realizes that he's like upset about it, she's like, okay, you can bring one. So I think based off of that scene, we were really kind of learning that she's not the one who's a big literary person. That does make me think though, if there is some legitimacy to the fact that like Joe's mom might be alive, that she might have moved on with a new family, could this actually be a different relative of Joe's, maybe a long-lost sister that he didn't know about? I think another obvious theory here is that this is just a new character. I think that's really plausible, and I think that maybe this is someone who sort of will reflect where Joe and Love are in their lives, but who is very much the opposite of Love. So, you know, the two of them are in the middle of starting a family right now, and we can see that this new neighbor character definitely has some type of ring on. Maybe she's married or engaged. Maybe she has a family of her own already. If the Jane Austen book is a hint at anything, maybe this is a character who's really only in her marriage for stability, and Joe sees her as someone who needs rescuing. Joe is also the kind of person that always ends up protecting his neighbors. We see that very clearly in season 1 and season 2, and so that actually brings up a really interesting concept of like, what if this time he's not protecting his neighbor is his new obsession? There is an actress credited in this episode as playing the mystery woman. Her name is Tiffany Lonsdale, so that does make me wonder, is this the actual actress that will be taking on this mysterious new role, or was she just an extra being used until they cast the real actress? Another theory is that the neighbor could be Beck or Candace. Both of these women are Joe's exes and former victims, and while they both supposedly died, we never actually see them dispose of their bodies. Suspicious much? While I do think both of them are really dead, it is a wild theory. Maybe this could open up some secret underground network of wronged exes who are trying to destroy Joe. Even if it's not one of them, Candace did have an outside source that she was working with this season that we didn't get to meet. Could this person maybe be investigating Joe? Could this maybe be the new neighbor? And then the last theory I'm sharing today is, what if Dr. Nicky's wife is Joe's new neighbor? I thought it was really interesting to see 40 go visit Dr. Nicky in jail at the end of this season. He feels that even though he's not responsible for Beck's death, that he's done so many other terrible things to his wife and his family that he deserves to be where he is. So that just kind of got my wheels spinning, thinking, what is Dr. Nicky's wife up to? Maybe she needed to start over after her husband's incarceration and that led her to moving to LA? Or what if she's actually Candace's source and she's trying to stake out Joe? 40 only went to go see Dr. Nicky because of a talk that he had with Candace. It made me wonder, like, is there a connection maybe between Candace and Dr. Nicky's wife? Since she was married to Dr. Nicky, having a ring on would make sense for her. Even though she's been mentioned a couple of times, we haven't actually met her yet as a character, so I think it would be a pretty interesting twist to see her become Joe's new obsession and this new storyline maybe connect to season 1. I gotta say, You does feel a little bit like a darker How I Met Your Mother in terms of the way that they frame each season is setting up this story of him introducing us to this new you that it seems like is going to be the final one, and it just keeps going. Whoever ends up being the neighbor better watch out, because you're basically under double the threat now. If you catch Joe's eye, you're probably not gonna make it out alive, and Love has already proved to us that she will take out anyone that she sees as a threat to her family. If you like this one, you can check out more of my reviews and discussions on You right over here, and I will catch you guys in my next video. See ya!